because obviously we have to build a community to get together, but we do want to be a true resource, even if that's helping with job searches, finding resources for childcare and things like that, just kind of some scholarship programs eventually. So again, we have a big plan. Our big plan includes conferences, and that's what we're kind of gearing up towards, but in a small scale, learning lunches and just opportunities to meet other people and maybe the industry that you work in.
Yeah, we want to find, opportunities for women, and we really realize too that people are really interested in the creative space, and everybody's trying to be a content creator in some form or fashion. And so, how can we help, support that?
We'll come into our meetings as content.
Yeah, yes.
So show up.
We buy the cute coffee shops. And the thing with the weekly connections too, I want to just say this as well, is from that standpoint, like, we're bringing business to these cafes, so we really want to be intentional about working and partnering with coffee shops, restaurants, to a degree, like co-working spaces, because we're bringing business, but we also want to highlight those spaces that are great places to dine and work from, that have strong Wi-Fi. So if you are an establishment that has strong Wi-Fi, you have good lighting, because we love good lighting when we have to work. They need the vitamin D.
Let me introduce y'all to Venture X, all right?
I know, I must say, like, as we were walking down these halls.
Yeah,
that's cute. It's a real cute spot. Yeah.
Welcome back.
Hi,
welcome back to Always Level Up, the podcast. We are here with some special guests today. They're going to share with us some of a little bit of their background, a little bit of, we talk about purpose, we talk about personal growth, and a lot about perseverance. So we always want to hear some level up stories, and, just get a little bit of background of who you guys are, what you guys are working on now, maybe some challenges along the way, all those good things.
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely want to, highlight, the ups, the downs, the all-arounds, and, what brought you to the point where you are today. So, Fawn, we have Fawn.
Yes.
Bevineau.
Fawn Bevineau. So, and I love the blend because you're used to agents, so it's like a perfect blend. But today we're kind of here on a different mission.
That's right.
Our little community service effort, I guess I'll call it, but we're both the co-founders of GirlssGoneWifi. So I'm Fawn Bevineau, and my background is in real estate as a real estate broker, and then project management as my long-term career.
And I'm Jada Pickett. I have a very funny background.
What I have here,
it all ties in. People need to know.
Everything connects. I do believe that everything connects, and even just the funny, I think the connecting point, even with us, you and I's connection going back as far as 10 years is how I met Tracy, because at the time, I had a nanny agency, so my background, will start there, is in the private sector of childcare. That's where my longest profession has been. I was a full-time nanny. And then I also had a nanny agency. And through that nanny agency here, Fawn, being the connector that she is, knew her sister friend of over, 15 years.
30.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Like, so sister.
Okay.
And now we're
even friends anyway. Right.
Don't ask us how old we are.
She knew her friend was in toddlers, baby.
I mean, barely out the womb.
I love that. I love it even more. I should have just kept it as sister, because, y'all are sisters. But, when she realized her sister was in need of childcare, she connected her with me. And I always remember that, because people don't always remember the things that you say. They don't always remember the things that you do, but they always remember how it made you feel. And I thought that was, that made me feel seen. And it made me feel like, she didn't even know that one of my missions in starting my agency was to advocate for Black families, specifically in the Texas area. And so Tracy was so professional and instant connection. We were talking all about just,
I was like your ideal client.
You literally were my ideal client.
And you had the solution to the problem that I had at the time.
Let me tell you, I was thinking to myself, if I mess this up, I was like, God, just give me just make this all work. Because that whole period of finding a solution for your client is tricky. And so anyway, we can talk about that another day, but that's how we got connected, okay?
So Jada helped me find my saving grace, Miss Amber. Shout out Miss Amber.
Hey, girl.
We had Amber for over 3.5 years. She really became part of the family. She joined us, I think I was pregnant with Leilani.
Yep, you were.
Yep. We had Nico. I just had a house full of kids, and I had them. They kept on popping out,
y'all,
and I needed help.
Look at Tracy, because Tracy's talking about these kids, and she looks like she ain't had more than one kid. They have a whole basketball team, and I just I love them so much. Like, you guys are just like so inspirational. Okay,
Thank you.
Like literally. But so that was like our first connection. Okay, and then like over time, I had career pivots that changed along with the world as the world changed. The pandemic really shifted my focus a lot, and I'm a firm believer that like when I lose passion or joy in the work that I do, I move on to the next thing. I feel like that's God's way of telling me, you have served your purpose in this capacity. Take what you learned from that season, move on to the next. And so I pivoted and moved into the marketing area, still working in childcare, but just in a different way. I worked for a tech platform, and that was where I really found and got bold in my ask for what I really wanted to do career-wise. And I had an opportunity to have lots of conversations. I was also a content creator working with brands, and so I was in this like creative space, and I was also still passionate about helping families and caregivers, but then I also was passionate about telling stories and just speaking, and I didn't really know how to articulate it at the time, but I remember at the last year, I was like, God, I want to have dynamic interviews, and I want that to be my career. Like, I want speaking to be the purpose, like what I do. So then, of course, I transitioned, and he answered, and so that's what I do now. I am a journalist and TV host for a local lifestyle show here in San Antonio. But before moving fully into that role,
Feel free to plug. I mean, we're going to watch you. We'll turn the TV on.
You guys make sure you watch SA Live. You can watch it locally on the KSAT app, or you can watch it on AVC if you are home between the hours of 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, or you can watch it on YouTube. Or you can watch it on our website, KSAT.com.
I love it.
If they want to follow you on IG.
I know, right?
And follow JS for Joy.
Right.
No, but I before that, I was working remotely for 3.5 years, and I'm someone who has to go to a coffee shop. I want to get out and have that, like, rub shoulders with other, independent contractors, entrepreneurs. I loved that. I used to connect with some of my girlfriends to go work. And I was like, it'd be kind of cool if there was some sort of a collective or something where we organized and met together. But it was just a thought. It was a desire, but it wasn't anything that I ever put foot to motion. Fast forward, Fawn, lo and behold, was having this same exact idea. I don't know this. Like, we never had this conversation. All I had was, I had come up with a name, but I never did anything with it because I really couldn't. I always felt like I needed to do it with someone because the whole purpose was around,
which is true,
collaboration. Yeah, like that was just in it, and it wasn't something that I felt like I need. It didn't have a sense of urgency behind it. It was just, I have the name, and I know at the right time it'll come to fruition. It's just funny that when it did come to fruition, I was no longer working remotely. But a lot of my job does require me to,
I do want to pivot on something you said that was important, and then I'll let you guys get to your question.
Go for it.
Yeah.
But I just kind of in my study and my devotionals, I'm very spiritual.
Yeah.
I'm in real estate, been in the business for 10 years, and I did project management for 15, which is kind of insane, right?
Yeah.
But I remember I had got this message from someone who said, before I had left my corporate job to pursue real estate full-time, it was a message, and they said, oh, God told me to share this with you. And I'm very particular when people say God told me to share this with you. Like,
don't just let anybody speak into your life.
But he had said, take that leap. It was this text, and I still have it to say, take that leap, and I will provide for you. I take the leap, whatever. So then, over time, kind of what you said, you start to feel like if you're kind of losing purpose in what you're doing, you feel like it's time to move on.
Yeah.
I do want to just point out to people, listeners, that our callings do have expiration dates. So even though I got this message 10 years ago,
Preach.
God could have said, okay, you fulfilled that purpose. Now we're going to pivot and move on.
Yep.
So now we're bringing it back to our mission today.
Yeah.
And I love real estate because I love serving people. I have that. I have my makeup as a creative outlet, and I have my project management as my thorough.
Yes, that bleeds into every aspect of
it bleeds into everything. It's absolutely needed in all facets. But
she be managing me.
Right.
calendar.
In the midst of that expiration date, this just became, which we're about to talk about, Girls Gone Wi-Fi, just an excitement, a burst of excitement, a time where I can have more of a creative outlet, where I can build something from scratch but something just with that vision.
Yeah.
So Jada was saying how she had the thought, which is crazy, and that's how God works a lot of times, because I hit her up mainly. I was always asking her for content because as much as I drag my feet, that's something I've wanted to do for years, and I wish I did it years ago. Yeah. Probably be doing something by now,
Don't you
monetizing
worry about it. You're doing it now.
Time is now.
Right. Yeah. And
everything works together.
Yep. But I found this video on Instagram, and I sent it to her, and it was these people sitting around a table at a coffee shop. Yep. And it just said, why don't you get together with people from different industries? Just invite whoever and just work together, and and just an informal setting. And I thought about it because I never miss the office. So everyone those people are like, I need to be in the office. Yeah. But I miss the work friends and just not only that, but just having community, different insight,
just the social aspect,
and help, right? Because I would go to her for content help, right? Yeah, that's something she specializes in, telling stories, something she specializes in. I may have come to you for investment things, right? So why not? One day we just have a powwow and just, okay, what are you working on? Tell me, how will this help my career? Because I was looking for anything to help me advance with my real estate. Yep. So I call her because I don't want to do it either. I much like her wearing a million hats. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, Jada, you should do this. And then invite me. And she's like, no, we should do this. And she said, exactly. She said, I have been thinking of that. That's so crazy. Well, it took us a while because we're both the same, even though I am scheduled and rigorous.
More type A. She's more type A for sure.
I had a lot going on to where it's like, hey, it got put on the back burner, but we were meeting. And then I started being like, okay, Jada, we've got to make this come to life.
Yeah. Right.
And initially, for all the men out there who constantly complain to us, like, why isn't there... I did say, we're going to invite everybody, right? We're like, she's like, yeah, we're going to invite everybody.
But we are the girls who've gone Wi-Fi.
Men are a little distracted.
Yeah, they wouldn't have.
They just want to.
You're not bringing the same energy that we need.
We keep getting feedback. Like, what do y'all want to be a part of?
We're actually helping them. We're gathering the ladies together.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You can
Tap in, guys.
Yeah,
Tap
right. Yeah, and we're Girls Gone Wi-Fi. Y'all can be. I liked when my friends
what was it called? Men
Guys Gone Wireless. But they said, but we're going to bring no laptops, no phones, just vibes. They don't want to work.
Wireless in the sense of none of it. No tech at all. None.
I love it. I love it. So,
I want to just go and just touch on something that y'all said, and I'm always thinking about principles of success, and one thing that y'all share in common is the applied faith.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right now,
absolutely.
And the thing about applied faith, and a lot of people don't understand, right? We say we have faith, yeah, have faith, right? But what does that mean when you really have to apply it, right? Mm-hmm. And it's really doing exactly what you did. It's like, hey, this season is over. Yeah. And whatever it is that I was doing is done. Yeah. Now I want to do something else. And this is what it is. And now I'm going to jump in, all in. And like you said, God will provide a way.
Yes,
God will provide a way. And when he does, like, it's so like supernatural. You just realize how things start to come together. Right. Yeah. Right. The energies, right? I mean, y'all are sharing two similar thoughts without even communicating.
I love when stuff like that happens.
And it is so powerful. I'm getting chills just thinking about it because I see it, and I see as people, when we work and we go and we want to make things happen, it takes this leap of faith. Yep. Right? Like, hey, nothing, no safety net. Yep. Nobody there to comfort me. Like, hey, we're going, just me and the Lord.
Right. Literally.
And we're going down this path. So I want to just, just share that because I noticed it, and I think it's very, very powerful because faith is unstoppable when you apply it and you just keep moving forward with your plans and let God pave the way,
Yes.
I think definitely faith without works is dead. So not in the midst of that, right? Just that believing. Then there's also like, okay, God, give me the wisdom, give me the tools and what actions, and then align me with the right people in there. Key. And then again, still allowing him to just kind of weave the way and not doing it in your own, whatever your own way is or how you planned it. Right. I'm just, especially with this, and that's the fun part of it, because we can just kind of ebb and flow. Because now we're talking about things that we that weren't even on the plate.
Yeah.
Then we started having this 5-year plan that wasn't even on the plate. All we wanted to do was meet up at coffee shops and just get ideas for work.
Well, and
now we have like this whole huge mission, not only a mission, but now a 5-year plan.
Yeah, and what I really love about that too is it's kind of this ongoing theme that we've been talking about in our office. We practice our devotionals in the morning before we start the day, and this week we talked about like being in a place where you lean on God because He's not looking for the know-it-alls. He's not looking for the number one top person that knows everything about everything that's going on. He's looking for the person that's asking Him for help.
And just trust Him.
He's
completely.
He's looking for the one that's open to His guidance, right? And being obedient to whatever that call is, and being obedient to letting go of whatever is comfortable to step into whatever is new. And then seeing like, okay, well, how is this going to unfold? And then it's like, bam, all the pieces to the puzzle that you didn't even know it was this big picture are all of a sudden, right? Like, they're stacked up, and now you're just moving them around by taking action.
And it's so one of the things that freed me of that idea of not moving and executing on your faith was, I remember I used to express this and lament to my parents all the time about not being sure if I'm making the right decision. And it really always pertained to my career. I always felt like I had to just choose one thing. And my dad, there's a scripture in the Bible that says he makes my crooked ways straight. And it's like, even when you go, he makes my crooked ways straight, and which means like, one, He goes before us, right? So that path we're already going down, He's already gone before us. He's already like made a way and made sure like protecting us and looking out for us, but also, because we're hard-headed, so we might step in and out of, what He has, intended for us, or the route that He intended for us, because that's just in our nature. And He gives us free will anyway to do that. And even in those wrong routes that we take, or those, if we're slower to move on certain things, He's going to make that way right. And it's like, I always think of Him as a GPS, like if you miss an exit, it just reroutes you. But you can never be rerouted if you don't move. So you got to move so that He can have something to work with. So
always. I love that.
So I'd like to, I think what we didn't do is really explain who we are.
And so that's kind of where I was going to go before we got into the faith talk. But no, Jesus is the reason all the time, so I'm not going to cut that conversation off. But today we are sitting with the dynamic duo of the co-founders of GirlssGoneWifi, and we are and it's a San Antonio based networking, right? It's a collective and really designed to bring like-minded women together. You talked about a little bit about your background in corporate IT, things like that, but you were looking for not necessarily looking for it, but it came to fruition by an idea that you had, and you have a serial entrepreneurial background and mindset. So you guys finally, connect in a way that was, unrelated to GirlssGoneWifi, but the idea, sprouted, and you guys want to share a little bit about that, where how it started, and kind of maybe the direction that you guys are heading.
Yeah, I think also if we go back a little bit around 2023 timeframe, like this post-pandemic, but we're still feeling the effects of it. A lot of women exited the workforce because working in corporate America, like in the offices, didn't support a lot of women, whether you were a parent or a single woman, or if you were married, you didn't really have the full support, or you got a taste of what working from home was like. And it was like, I like being able to do my laundry and then jump on that call. I like, being able to take my braids out during the call, and I could have no camera and screen on.
Not only that, too, I think, which we'll get there, to hinge on the fact that we are in an age of technology. So I also I think a lot of people are seeing other things online, other aspects of careers they could have by watching YouTube, and not so much doing content stuff, but just like, oh, these people are working from home and they're making money and they're doing this, or they're doing deliveries, or whatever it is. I think we're in that age of technology. We're seeing more different roles outside of office roles and outside of just blue collar roles. So that kind of
played in that too. Because the desire, I think, of being able to have a more flexible work life was desired. And I think I think it's always been a desire for people. But I think once we actually saw a need for it because, work must go on even during the pandemic. And so when we made an adjustment for that life, when people were starting to go back to the office, I think that we were kind of in this space where we're working from home. We like that, but we also do like the perks that working in an office provides us, right? So being able to have those like lunch breaks, being able to, have that quick like meeting. And I think that in addition to that,
hey, help me.
Yes.
How do you even ask for help? Help is on Teams, help is on Slack.
And also being able to see that people wanted to create something for themselves as well. And I think with women, we just felt called to support that. And like she was saying, we didn't know in what capacity. We were like, let's start with coffee shops. You got to let
somebody go wrong there.
Can't go wrong with coffee.
And then let's go for pretty coffee shop.
Okay.
Like this could be content.
Yeah.
Like this is a whole vibe.
Right. This is a whole studio now.
Because we did say let's find new places around town and highlight those and have different experiences.
So what was the question again? Oh yeah. So
I guess
the origin story of us.
When I was saying the guy part, when I said everybody's included, was she came to me because she already had something in mind. She goes, I have a name. Do you like Girls Gone Wi-Fi? And I was like, I love it. And I'm like, but that means we're going to get rid of the guys, right? And she's like, yeah, let's just go with the name. Yeah. So that was sorry, guys. I excluded y'all just because of the name.
And I didn't even think about the guys. Honestly, I didn't care. No, y'all can come. It's called Girls Gone Wi-Fi.
There's nothing wrong with that. I would say guys would probably just be distracted.
They're like, get these feminists off of this way more right now. No,
I do.
We love the guys.
Sex is like, how?
No,
Can we have something, please?
We are girls who have gone Wi-Fi, and I think what we'll also get into, in some of the questions in this discussion is really just the evolution over this past year. But it truly did. It started with two women that were both wanting connection, who finally, our coffee meetup made it out of the group chat, and we talked, and we were like, yeah, let's go, let's do this. And so, Girls Gone Wi-Fi was born.
Last year.
One year anniversary.
Yes, happy birthday.
I see, the creative outlet. And I read this book, The Science of Getting Rich. Right?
And you made me read it
it's
many
really
times.
Good one.
Okay, who's the author?
Wallace D. Waddles.
Okay.
Great author. It's a short book, read. But part of it is it talks about, one of the keys to building wealth is through creation and not competition.
Love
right?
that.
Okay.
I love that.
Yes.
So when you're tapping into your creative outlet right now, you're finding another way to bring people together, but also to earn a living.
Yeah.
Right? And this landscape of careers is totally changed.
I know.
And people are making absurd amounts of money just creating content and
I know.
YouTube channels and all this other stuff. But really, we talked about this earlier, right? It comes down to marketing and sales, right?
Yep.
Facts.
So once you start tapping into marketing and sales and you start to put your product out there, your service out there, then that right there just opens up the door, right, to new streams of income.
Yes.
Which also buys you the freedom that you're looking for, so you're not tied to a desk and reporting to somebody 9 to 5, which, how many people really love to do that?
Yeah. And as somebody who's now back in the office, there are so many perks, but I do love that, when I do need to step away and because
you have the freedom.
I have the freedom because I do work in a creative field and how I draw, where I draw my inspiration from, it does come from having conversations like this, rubbing shoulders with other individuals. When we go to our meetups, I might meet someone who inspires my next story, you know what I mean? And so being out of the office is just as important as being in, and I do think that both should exist. And I think that we do our weekly coffee shops, but both Fawn and I are very unapologetic in really wanting to encourage, and might I even say, really challenging corporations to really think about how they can create flexible work environments. We've seen it done before. We don't have to fully go back to how things were pre-pandemic. We've seen successes come from those flexible workspaces. And we both know that men and women need to work, and there are so many different ways.
And there's so much talent. There's so many talented women who can do the work, but do require the flexibility.
Yes.
And as someone myself who's been pushed out of a corporate type of career. Because I did have to make a choice between, raising my family and being there for my family and building my career. But just like we talked about earlier, it's the pivots that God takes us through, the that winding road where we really tap into our applied faith and say, okay, well, what's next for me?
Yes.
And how do I make something new of myself in this new season?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, let me add, I'm an anomaly, but I won't put this company out there, but when I was in my job, and I was very senior in my job, did my job really well. I think I'm a very excellent project manager, but at first when I started real estate, I just wanted to tap my toes, but then things started happening. This guy kept bugging me, calling me, and making me work harder.
Oh, Carlos?
And kept saying I can't be divided. I can't be divided with two things. I can never be great at one if I'm divided in the other. But it was the craziest thing because I was also, at the time of my company, the top agent, but I also had a full-time job, and nobody knew that because, you can't necessarily tell them that. And then my job couldn't know that I was doing that.
Yeah.
However,
I didn't know that you had two.
I was wearing two hats and sometimes doing makeup and at the time a wife, a mother, and everything else in between, right? Going to the gym, all those things in between.
She had a high volume of
But let me, I'm
saying this.
There you go. I'm saying this to say, again, anomaly, right? But I believe in people. I know everybody has their thresholds, but I do feel like we are in those spaces where you may have a job where you don't have that flexibility, but you have dreams.
Yeah.
And again, we want to hone in those dreams. We want to encourage those dreams. You want to say it can be done, just like you tell me it can be done. But you have to make sacrifices. So in the midst of that, I did have to time box myself. So the me then is not the me now, because this me is outside and has time for everything, right?
Yeah.
That me had no time. This me had to do my job, but also carve in hours out of my day to do real estate, but also build my real estate business. Because I was all about making it a business once it kind of set in that this had to happen.
Yeah.
So I do want to say that. I thought it was important to express, especially with our mission, that it can be done, even if you're in those remote roles. If you have these dreams, you want to do, your plan B, whatever the calling God has for you. We have to time box it, of course, but it can be done.
Absolutely. And that actually reminds me of our interview with Nick Disney. Which is a real estate investor, and he did something similar where he was working a 9-to-5 job, and then he started investing in real estate, on the side.
Right.
But exactly, you have to time box it, right? Like the guy put in a lot of extra hours, so when he wasn't working, he was working on his project.
Yeah.
And some of it, he was swinging the hammer, he was doing a lot of the work. And it takes a tremendous amount of discipline to do this because it's hard.
Yeah.
And it's not like, hey, shiny object, this is easy over here, and it's like this is challenging over here.
Yeah,
it's challenging over
here,
and
it still is.
And you got life, you have life, right? Parenting, whatever, you got to deal with whatever responsibilities. But at the end of the day, if you can budget your time, wisely, right, and then now you can do the important things. This is going to take me to another book.
I love it. You're such a good reader.
I read the one thing.
The one thing.
Y'all are guys. Good titles. I like it.
I'm on this book right now. But anyways, it talks about, you have to, there's usually one thing that needs to get done in the day that's really, really important, right? So when you can channel your energy on what that is, you get that thing done early.
I like that.
And you use a lot of your willpower to get it done. So when you can figure out what's the one thing you have to do throughout your day to be accomplished, right?
And I always like that.
That's
because
good.
I have a to-do list, and I'm making her have one too, in a calendar.
I have one now.
There's a success list and a to-do list.
Right.
Remember the difference.
Okay, right. Okay, so there is a success list, there's goals. It's one thing. If I could just knock one thing out, and my one thing could be super low. It could have been like, make that post today. How accomplished I feel doing that one thing, because it's just one little.
Yeah, I feel real accomplished after that one
step when you get that one thing done.
Man, it's absolutely right, because
I'll come back
I had
tomorrow.
an experience where, on a Sunday, I have this walkthrough set up. I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna get this house.
Yeah.
And I was like, just go.
Yeah.
That's the one thing
That's
for you.
the one
That's
thing.
the one thing for you to do.
Yeah. It does feel better.
I walk the house. It turns into a deal.
See?
Make some money.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm glad I did that.
I love that.
And one thing.
One more thing.
I love that.
that I did hear in your guys' talking was, Fawn mentioned how the Fawn then isn't the Fawn that I am now. The time that I had then isn't the time that I had now. And it talks to, and I love the space and I love talking about and studying our identities and how our identities shift and who we need to be and who we need to show up as in our new seasons, who we need to let go of, the things that don't no longer serve us. Like, let's talk a little bit about that. And
the life coach coming out. Oh gosh, I love this.
Not only calling, but expired situations
and identities,
relationships, expired identities. And I always say we are meant to change, especially in relationships. I just from a mentor space now, I tell people, and it's friends, husbands, wives, whatever. We were meant to change. We were always meant to change. So if you're holding on to somebody you thought you knew then, you got to let go of that idea because you're changing too. And I guess what we don't talk about when we're changing with our friendships is like, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm going to do. And nobody's bound to anything, right? Because I don't owe her anything if we change the direction of things, and y'all don't know each other anything other than the mutual respect. Like, hey, I'm changing. This is what I like to do, and then how can we do this together, right? So just going back to changes in personalities, again, something I didn't think this was even going to happen, or not even a thought, right? I should be a founder of a women's collective or a community mission. It just now became a personality of helping, right? It started looking outside of self, and now what can I do? And she knows, and y'all know, I've always been that person. I'm supportive, by far, helping, by far, connecting, by far. That is me. I love to bring things together and I love this place. Go here, So it kind of tied into, okay, I want to, if there's anything I can say, if any way I can help someone get there, and more so say it's in that motivation and that speech, I want to do that for people. And that's who I am now. That's kind of where I want to go now. And I don't know, maybe motivational speak. I don't know.
Yeah.
What has your evolution looked like for yourself? Like who you were and now who you are today?
I love that question.
And, every day we don't love who we are, right? In the moment. But I do.
Except for me.
I think the part in my I'm an anomaly. In my evolution, do I love who I am today? Yes, because this person, even through hardships, has so much faith and so much drive, and that drive is just through the faith and knowing that, okay, what can I do? Everything's going to be good. I had really hard times that let me know that if this is the worst thing that can happen, really,
that's good.
There's what else can happen. If I can get through this, I can get through everything. So again, that translates in almost everything you do through careers, again, through relationships, through just new growth changes, life changes, whatever that may be with your kids, with your finances. I had to just kind of go with it. So I do like the person I am, because the other person just had a life where it was kind of comfortable in a sense, and then methodical in a sense, where I had a routine, I had a life, and I didn't really break stride from that. Now I'm just kind of not only safe, spontaneous, but I'm okay with being flexible. I'm not going to go on a limb and say I'm a person who loves change, but I'm so okay with being flexible and just and just having to have that resilience and kind of go through it. So that's what I do love about New Self.
I love that.
And how about you?
I think my evolution has looked like, honestly, a return back to me. Like, I don't think I've ever stepped outside of me and escaped me, but I think that where I am now and where I'm headed, I feel more, I think this is where I've always been trying to get to, and I've not always been able to articulate it. I mean, even as a child, my parents used to say, like, what I'm doing was what I should have always went to school for and do. And I think I ran away from that because I felt like, well, no one's going to tell me what I'm going to be. Like, I have lots of passions, and I always ran from one thing. And I think over the years, yes, the one thing, that's our theme of the show. But yeah, I feel like it's been a journey of seeing that every season that I've been in personally and professionally has all built me up for where I am today. Right. And so I think even in the highs and lows and the failures, all of those are lessons that I feel like have shaped me. And I take all of it. So I think me today, as an evolved woman who is continuing to evolve and grow, recognizes all of the positives and the gems that I've taken along in my journey, which is so important because I think that even through our collective or just as a person, like people that I talk to younger than me, older than me, they need to know, and I can relate with them on feeling not sure of which route to take or feeling like I have multiple passions and it's like, well, which one do I pick? And helping people understand not every passion is supposed to be a paycheck. You know, some of your passions
gonna stick.
Not every everything. Some stuff is just supposed to creatively fuel you. Other things are supposed to fund you. You know what I mean?
And other things can be to just be there for help other people.
And it's a part of who you are. Yeah, it's a part of who you are. So that's what my evolution has looked like over the years.
I love that. Now speaking of, growing, we are always talking about, our own personal growth and how we get there and how we express like what success means to us. Did you ever find like on your path or on your journeys towards, kind of where you are now, like you had to either shrink yourself or like be somebody less than, who you were? And what does that look like? So if there's maybe somebody that's listening right now who might feel like they're, living underneath their value or, maybe not, or putting themselves in a box and they're looking to break out, like what are some signs to look for? What are some things that maybe an action that they can take to like get them out of that?
Who, me? I don't know that emotion.
That's such a good question, Tracy. Were you going to answer?
No, I said, who, me? Don't know that emotion. You don't know that. I'm kidding.
Well, what do you say to people that have that emotion? See, this is why I had to fall a little bit so I can relate to people needing that question.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. There's so many examples of that.
Yeah. Okay, so wait. Ask the question again.
Shrinking yourself.
Shrinking yourself. Yeah, I think
or even like an imposter syndrome of some sort where you're just not like, where we just stay comfortable because it's like, oh, that means I've got to try this whole new thing and I've got to,
I never knew what the heck imposter syndrome was until I exited the nanny industry. The nanny industry was my lane, okay? No, I was like an expert in my own right. I did it over for 10 years. Like you couldn't, like, and I was dedicated to, like, I entered into that role to really help advocate and educate on the family side and the caregiver side. Then I move over into marketing and business development. And while I had the experience on how to build a business, I still felt like there was this lingering feeling of inadequacy because I didn't have a traditional college background. So I'm walking around all these people that have these, bachelor degrees and they have this really like long portfolio. So you're either struggling with either trying to prove yourself or you're just feeling unworthy and inadequate. And you don't go into any of these spaces trying to feel like that. Sometimes it's just overwhelming. And, shout out to my parents. They were very like good about reminding me like they're lucky. Like they always use this anytime my siblings and I would go up for a job. We always are like, oh, I hope I get it. I hope I get it. My parents always used to be like, baby, they're lucky to have you. That was the attitude that they really wanted us to frame. So I would say that somebody that's feeling like they're shrinking themselves, first of all, just realize like you are not alone in that thought. Somebody has like more people have felt that way, and it's a natural thing, and it's a good thing to acknowledge that because it doesn't make you. That's not your truth. Feelings are fleeting. They don't define you. You have to remember to separate the difference between a feeling and what's true. And one thing about the devil is he doesn't talk to you like another person is talking to you. He plants seeds of thoughts as if you're thinking those thoughts. So you can really think that it's you. And I think that when it comes to shrinking yourself, instead, remind yourself that even in my feeling of inadequacy, remind yourself that you're here for a reason. You are here for a reason. You're supposed to be here. Yeah. You don't know the timeline, but embrace the season that you're in and know that like you're feeling this way because someone else is going to feel that way. And you need to be able to remind them, I felt that way and it's going to be okay. It don't last forever. I think that's the biggest way to embrace failure or the low self-esteem is that I'm feeling this way because someone else is going to, and I need to know what it feels like because people always want to feel seen,
That's
you know?
wonderful.
So
I like that.
kind of-
I feel like, so again, background, I'm in luxury real estate, very competitive here, especially for a Black woman.
Yeah.
Then in tech space, in IT, where everybody's executive but me or a woman like me. And then just now, Women's Collective. I don't take that lightly. I don't take the fact that I've worn many hats, even doing makeup, because I am, and I think what I want to say to people is, I am the representation of what I didn't always see. And you are the representation. Don't put yourself in a box. I wish I could just, express that enough. Like, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you don't be yourself, I mean, I think when people show up authentically themselves, it works, obviously, with respect and kindness. There was even a luxury team that wanted me. They wanted me for all the reasons they saw, because they saw me being myself, right? They saw me being myself. They saw who I knew, all these things, right? Yeah. But then when it came time, they said, hey, can you tone down yourself online? And I said, no. That's a deal breaker.
She was like, girl, no.
It was a deal breaker because I figured I wasn't going to fit. I just knew in my mind, because I hesitated, I figured I wasn't going to fit in their box. Yeah. Then when I go and was kind of making the move, they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, can you do this? And I'm like, no. Because the reason you even called me, because you liked this, right? But then you wanted me to fit in this box. So
that's good.
Again, going back to, you have to just remember, through all things, you're qualified. It's actually, you're probably smarter than you know, or you don't know how many people are literally out there winging it. Yeah. So to your point, for whomever's going out there, maybe you do want a CEO position or an executive position. You're thinking, like, how in the world am I going to get there? Yeah. It's like they got there somehow. So, again, hopefully those people that you're mentoring are saying the same thing to you. Yep. That will inspire you as I was kind of reiterating what you're saying, like, I'm in this position to be able to say to someone, I'm feeling this inadequacy, to be able to say to someone, you can do it, because obviously I got here somehow, some way, by the grace. I had a realtor the other day. I went to this thing, and I'm like, why are we talking about work? So she's introducing me. Mind you, in my mind, I think she's like the super top agent. Like, she's slaying it beyond. I've had some bad years, unfortunately. And she's like, this is Fawn. She is this, and she's that. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. And then, again, in that moment, I'm feeling like, I felt like the imposter, like, I'm really not doing that good right now, but you see me, you're hyping up, because I'm just always going to present that confidence and be able to share that wisdom and insight. And I think it's because even though she's doing beyond what I'm doing, she knew me for the wisdom and just sharing and the trade secrets and how to get here. Yeah. Whether I'm there or not. So I just, again, think just reminding people that you're qualified by both your experience and your calling.
I agree. And the last thing I'll say to that, too, is another thing to combat that, because I'm thinking of the person that's listening, and they're like, okay, well, how do we do that? Like, what does that look like on a daily basis?
What can I do today?
Can you write that down?
Yeah, like, how do you, I think that one of the ways that you can do, what you can do that I did was get good. Like, the thing that you feel inadequate, like, get sharper in it, right? So, like, for me, like, even in my role now, same thing. Like, I didn't have imposter syndrome with this, because I was like, y'all already know me, so you know what you do. Yeah, like, you got no degree. You see this portfolio, okay? Like, and I would rather that, because I want to know that I earned this with not pretending to be anybody other than myself, because I think I know the asset that I am, and I know the value that I bring, and vice versa with who they are and the assets that my team is to me. But in those areas where I feel like, well, if I did go the traditional route, what are some things I would have learned along those ways? What is the jargon in this field? What does this whole industry look like, and how can I get better? And so the world is your classroom. Your office is your classroom. That is school for you. So, I don't miss an opportunity to shadow not even just my team on the lifestyle show, but even the anchors in news, in the newsroom. What does a newsroom look like? What's newsroom culture? How does it, how do you write a full TV show as a producer? And now I'm prepared to one day write a show if I want to. And what does all that look like? So I would say, get good. Just get good. Like, get sharper, get your reps in. Like, and that will really build that confidence in you. I
like that too. And because I feel like even with, for the sake of this conversation with real estate, when I'm coaching agents, new agents, they are like, oh, how do I get started? I don't have experience. I said, talk that talk, because all you can do, so you don't have the experience, you don't have the numbers, you haven't had the clients, so you have to learn. You're going to have to go and learn. You're going to have to read. You're going to have to stay up on the market, because if you talk very profoundly to a client or someone that you're pitching to, they're going to just believe in you, because you're like, I don't have this, but I have the time and I know my stuff. Yeah. So get good. Get good, as you're saying.
I think that's so key. And a lot of people, they freeze up on this stuff because, yes, one step is to learn. The other step is to take action.
Execute.
And
Love
it,
execution.
right? Because that's where the fear comes into play.
Yes.
Right? You're like, oh, my gosh, I got to do this, or I got to make that call, or I don't know how it's going to go. And you start, like, coming up with all these what-if scenarios.
Yeah,
and it's like,
we go through that.
Yeah.
Just pick up the phone.
Pep talk the other day, and we're like, all right, we're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
I know. So I'm actually seeing y'all's, content creation, stepping your game up. I had a feeling in the background. Just do it. This is what we're going to do.
Girl.
She's like, probably has your, these are your bullets. Have at it.
Look,
I showed
1, 2, 3, go.
I showed her another podcast of this lady. I can't pronounce her name. She's on Instagram. And she said that, which kind of inspired me. She said, smart people are the ones who aren't successful because they're too much thinking about it. They're analyzing. They're in their head.
Yep.
The successful people just go out and do it and
100%.
do it scared.
Yep.
That's it.
And it's a lot of mediocre people out here winning because they're just consistent.
Doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're just doing it. They're just going to. They're not
It's from
scared.
their
They're being
iPhone
themselves.
5.
Okay.
Crummy, grainy video, but they're doing it
They're
every
being
single
themselves.
day.
They're just putting it
And
out
they're
there.
showing up
And they're showing
every
up.
day.
And they getting brand deals.
Right.
They getting paid.
Right.
They ain't even having to talk about going to anybody's job. This is their job. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, we're like, this is me. Like, I'm like this. I'm like, nope, not till I get that camera. Okay?
Yeah,
Not
me
till I
too.
get that camera.
I'm like, I got to order all this equipment.
Yeah. I'm like, not till and it's in my head. And I was like,
give me your phone. Let's go. Come on.
Yes. And we've had conversations like this a lot, especially with her, because I'm like, I tell her all the time, I'm like, you are literally, you encompass a lot of the space in the creator economy that women just like want to enter in because they see that it is a booming industry. And I'm like, this comes natural to you. You love, getting all dolled up. You love you love a fan. Yeah, you're a hand. She hams it up.
The camera loves her.
And it's good. It does. And I'm like, girl, give us a day in the life. You go out, you live a very full life. And you don't have to show everybody the inner workings. But I'm like, give us that, because what it does is, that is a business in and of itself. And so I'm like, are you going to work out every day? Like, ultimately, you live.
You're doing the content already.
Yes.
The camera's just not on.
She's like, you're right.
The girls will eat it up. Will eat it up because it's a version that they aspire to, and there's nothing wrong with knowing that and showing that. Like, we talk about,
and also that it can be done.
And like you are a mom, a successful single mother, a very ambitious young lady who loves to live a full life. A lot of times people want us to just be at home, not doing anything, or moping around and not finding a man. But no, you live with so much joy and zealous. You're outside, so you're going to meet your husband eventually because of that. You are. Listen, are you listening? Husband, are you listening?
She's letting her girl up right here.
Seriously. And that is that's what people need to see. And I would be like, let me see what Fawn's doing. You know what I mean?
Hey, these are the kind of friends you need right here.
She works out. She's cute working out. I'm telling her all the time, I'm like, I'm borrowing that workout suit. I'm borrowing that one. So finally we were like, we're going to press play on it.
Well, and that there's a connection there from what we talked about as far as our identity and shrinking ourselves and learning and already doing the thing, but overthinking it, and how do you like merge those two together? But it really is about, and this is just a common theme that I've always recognized when I was coaching women is it's okay to be a beginner. Like you can be a beginner. Like you got to start. Everyone's a beginner at some point, right? But what you're
start somewhere,
and what you're seeing in her is like, girl, you're not even beginning. You've been doing it. You've already been doing it. Just, you're now. Just press play.
Like, go in that camera roll, girl, because I know there's some
there. The B-roll is there.
Less than 24 hours. Had a full little compilation.
So what does leveling up mean to you?
Ooh,
and how have you experienced it in your life?
Go Fawn.
Oh, leveling up. Just that change and accepting change is leveling up to me. It's also just that continuous improvement and really pursuing that. I know it's just buzzwords, we could say that, but it's really pursuing continuous improvement, whether that, like, I'm just a person, like this year I said, I'm learning Spanish and that's just what I'm going to do, and I mean it. And I've been sticking to it every single day. I have a little streak. But now, am I good? Can I have a conversation? No, but
it's good, though. I love
She's got some phrases down.
Yeah, I've been seeing them little Duolingo streaks too, girl.
It's something I set out to do, and I mean to do it. And then on top of that, it's just also that staying grounded in that pursuit of your faith.
Right.
And no matter what our listening audience is, that's what's important to me in terms of leveling up. The more I know God and what he wants for me is where things are going to ultimately take a huge shift. Yeah. So that's where I'm at in terms of leveling up. And it's not always just getting ahead or being competitive or just being cutting edge or staying on top. It's literally like, what are you doing to improve yourself?
Right.
And then improve the well-beings of those around you.
And I think just to add to that, it really hits home is keeping God in the center of it. Because I think a lot of times people neglect what it means to level up in the spiritual side.
Yes.
And really and how that really impacts your character, and then how that impacts the decisions that we make.
Sure.
Daily, right? And then the environments we put ourselves, right. And then the people and how we treat people and stuff like that. So I think that's really, really important takeaway right there.
I love that. Really love that. What leveling up looks like for me is everybody, I believe, has like a version of themselves that they have in their head, they keep in their head, and you sometimes achieve and become that version, and sometimes it just kind of live in the back, because when you think about it, it's like, okay, you have that version of yourself in your head. And you should get granular about it. Like, you should be like, where is she living? Yeah. Is she married? Is she single? Does she have kids? Like, what job is she doing? What does she wear? All the things, like everything. I think somebody said on TikTok, it was like, pretend like you are going to meet your future self or your ideal self for lunch. What is she wearing? And like how to keep pursuing to show up as that person. And so I think, when it comes to leveling up, it's me falling in alignment with that version of myself. But it's also like, well, what does it take to become her?
Right, yeah.
Because my higher version of myself, she's fit. So she's super fit. So it's like, what am I doing? Well, she wakes up at 5:00 in the morning. Like, all right, she gets good sleep. What are those non-negotiables?
Start doing that.
Yeah, that's one thing.
It's so funny that you say that, because it's like your ideal client avatar, but for yourself, right? Yes. Like, who am I? Like, who do I want to be? And I've always had this like picture, and it's probably on my mood board or somewhere, where Angela Bassett in her
arms.
50 arms, right? And so that helps me get up in the morning when I have to miss workouts, and I only can work out at 5:30 in the morning because my day is monopolized.
Or you're carrying your daughter from the truck to the church.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, in my head, I don't complain, because it's part of who I am. It's part of who I want to be. So who is the person that has Angela Bassett arms? It's a person that doesn't complain and carries her daughter to church. Or wakes up at, picks up a heavier kettlebell or whatever it is. And
that's it.
I mean, it makes the choice very easy, right? When you have a clear picture of where you're wanting to go, and the decision is not hard.
So doing what you need, and doing what you need to do to get to that. That's what leveling up looks like. It's being able to be a very great manager of thine self.
And personally is important, because you can't do that professionally without that personal.
Yeah, I think the leveling up personally and professionally for sure.
I love what you said, because it's like, man, there's a reflection of, okay, who do I want to become? What does that look like? And then who am I today? And then what do those actions look like? And let's start to make some changes, right? Sure. You talked about some changes, and once you get really comfortable with change, and you start to understand that change is going to happen. It is. We have the power to influence change in a positive way,
very much,
or we also have the power to not go in a positive way, right? So it's like, what actions do we have to take?
Right.
What are the things that we have to do? What are the things that we have to stop doing? who do we need to be around? Who do we not need to be around?
Yeah.
No, for real. That's honestly, that is a very hard thing that you like. People, especially when you have historic friendships that have expired long before, you know, you made it to today. And your circle, whether people want to, you know, be aware of it or not, who you surround yourself around is so impactful to the decisions you make, how you see yourself, the things you accept. Because think about it, if you are surrounded around people who accept low quality behavior, who accept disrespect, who, you know, just kind of don't have much direction in their life or a vision for themselves and aren't committed to their growth, you're not going to be challenged to grow even further. You know, my best friend, literally, like, our entire friendship has been her and her significant other, her husband, growing and being around that. And being in close proximity of that for so many years before they moved, I miss you guys. You realize, like, it helps. It's a positive challenge, and she'll say the same thing about me, but I'm just acknowledging in terms of what it's meant to me because I know the impacts of influence, and we're all influencers, whether you got a social media account or not.
That's true.
You know, and
somebody's looking at
very
you.
much.
Right.
Somebody is looking at you, and it sounds like a huge weight to bear. But it's really just important to know, like, hey, part of my growth also is directly connected to who I surround myself around. And that's real. That's the part that people don't always want to let go of.
And that's the legacy, right? That's that's the part that's a legacy, and that's that's something that's super important to Carlos and I, and how we carry ourselves, because we've got a bunch of children watching us that we have to pass things down to including our habits.
Yeah.
What our habits are, we're hoping that they're good enough habits that they learn eventually to pick up on and understand that these are things that are going to allow me to find success in whatever path that they take.
Yeah.
You know, it's that those core fundamental habits that they can take into any career path, whether it's college, hopefully it's college, because that's the direction that I push them into, military, whatever it is, if they can hone in on these core habits, being okay with change, you know, having self-discipline, our applied faith, those core things in any walk of life is going to get you somewhere.
And I love the fact that your son works out with you guys. Like, I love that. We did a boot camp with Jason with Soul Fit, and it was so cool. Like, I feel like modeling that is huge. That's so huge. Like, and they're going to carry that on with their kids, but more importantly, like, that's just a level of discipline that they can't escape. And it's just gonna, the way we know to get up every day and brush our teeth, they know to get up every day and, like, commit to their fitness and their, like, I just love seeing that.
I love the legacy, because it's funny, my pastor actually had that was the series we were doing, legacy building for yourself, and just really being intentional about that for anybody watching you, the people behind you, but mainly your kids, and building that. And yes, Carlos does an excellent example of that. And it just reminded me too, because someone the other day said, "Oh, how do you go to the gym?" I said, "It's just always kind of been a thing. I never not went to the gym." And then I thought it clicked. Oh yeah, because my dad always went to the gym to this day. So it's something you see. Yes. And then also just the work discipline my mom had, because then I think about people's thresholds, and sometimes I can be kind of judgmental, like, you have time for that, figure it out. Because my mom figured it out. Yeah. She made time for everything. But that's something she ingrained in us, to be hard workers, to not stop, to not give up, and always show up for other people.
That's good.
So these are all just things now, taking that into account. So we're saying that, we're just doing it, right? But actually take action, write them down. Like, this is the legacy I'm creating for you guys. We're going to actually document this and say, and again, we're talking about literally, if it's down there, if this is the person I'm saying show up to be, this is how I'm advising kids, no matter what direction you're going. This is what we created for y'all. Yeah. We're proclaiming this. Show up for that, so they do have something to actually come back and look like. Actually, it was a declaration written down.
That's
which is fun.
That's beautiful.
I have no choice.
I love it because
then they'll see and be like, "Oh, I'm not meeting the legacy.
No wonder she's mad at me."
I'm getting wrapped up the will.
But it really goes back to, and you said it right, like work hard, and it's not like you have to slave and dig trenches all day, right? Like, working hard is just putting in quality effort and doing the things that matter.
Showing up.
And
quality
showing up,
effort.
right?
That's
like,
good.
putting in your best effort, putting your best foot forward, and executing and doing that daily, right? Routinely, because life is hard.
Yeah,
life is hard. It's challenging. Nobody's exempt from going through the challenges. Nobody's exempt from getting knocked down.
Yeah,
and we have to teach our children and whoever else that's looking up to us. Maybe we have a niece or nephew or whatever, and it's like, man, we got to show them like, hey, this is what work looks like, and when you work and you do what's right, then you're gonna have rewards, and the quality of life improves. Versus like, the people that don't work. I often walk a lot of distressed properties, and I see the people that don't work and they don't put in the effort, and they the way they live is just like, man.
Or even teaching people how to come back from a setback. I think when you're seeing that too, it's all the people who just weren't given those skills or tools.
They fall and they stay down.
To get back up.
And they give up on life versus like, hey, you know what? You get knocked down, you get back up. Yeah. You get knocked down 10 times, you get back up 11. Like, just keep going.
Like, you don't have a choice, right?
Mental toughness is a thing that is so needed in just our world. And I think I realized that when I did the 75 Hard last year. It's a whole mental toughness program. I mean, a lot of people always talk about the physical changes, but it's mental first. Like, there's so many mental changes that you go through and that you're up against in that entire challenge. And I actually recommend it to anybody that struggles with things like discipline, that struggles with just self-discipline. If you've never been pushed in an area to be disciplined, I think that is very similar to people. If you've done sports, I feel like they do really well in other careers because they've been used to certain routines, getting up super early.
Or military.
Teamwork, collaboration, military people as well. So mental toughness is like one of those things. That's like, if we can get that instilled in the kids, that's the thing. Because as adults,
parents who did it,
we're unlearning it. We're unlearning those things or having to retrain and and that's another thing. It's like, give yourself grace because you are either as adults, we're breaking habits, we're unlearning things, and then we're also replacing tools or adding tools that we never even had in our toolkit in the first place.
All right. All that healing. Yes. That's a topic for another podcast. So as we wrap things up, are there any other things that we want to share about Girls Gone Wi-Fi? I know we always kind of, of course, it's a platform to share all those things, but we're really all about the personal growth, the personal development, how other people can, take an action that they learned today and run with it. But I do want to give you guys another opportunity to share anything else about Girls Gone Wi-Fi, where you guys, the direction you're going. I know tomorrow there's a meetup. Although Thursday. Although we probably won't air this till after that. But Thursdays are the days.
Yes, we do Thursday. Make sure you guys follow us on our Instagram platform because that's where you can stay up to date with everything. Right. So everything from websites, events, to our weekly coffee connections, weekly connections that we have. But I think the one thing that we wanted to talk about too is the first year, we really set out around building community, right? So we had events. We had that's where our weekly connections were birthed, and we want to continue to keep that going because I think there's such beauty in that. We get really good feedback from people that attend our events as well as, but we know that we want to add more value to Girls Gone Wi-Fi. We want to be able to create spaces for resources. We want to have lunch and learns. We want to create opportunities for women to learn in other industries. We kind of want to be that.
Sponsorships eventually.
Yeah. We want to be a resource to be able to, shout out to those sponsors.
Well, sponsorships, but also be sponsors.
Yes. Okay. Yes, for events that we're attending because we want to be able to introduce people to opportunities that could benefit them personally and professionally. We know that happens when you have that ecosystem of networking, but we want to take it a step further. And so this year, we're really building out what that looks like. We're still keeping the fun and the socializing going, but we just want to continue to add on to some of those developmental things that can really, when people come with us and engage with us, they can say, I really, learned a lot, or I have resources in this space that have really helped me in my pivot or in my career journey and whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I love that. And because I always say, even when we start our meets just between us, it's like, we're not just events. So now let's shape that each time. Like, what are we building to be beyond an event? Because obviously we have to build a community to get together, but we do want to be a true resource, even if that's helping with job searches, finding resources for childcare and things like that, just kind of some scholarship programs eventually. So again, we have a big plan. Our big plan includes conferences. And that's what we're kind of gearing up towards. But in a small scale, learning lunches and just opportunities to meet other people and maybe the industry that you work in.
Yeah, we want to find, opportunities for women. And we really realize, too, that people are really interested in the creative space. And everybody's trying to be a content creator in some form or fashion. And so how can we help, support that?
We'll come into our meetings as content.
Yeah. Yes.
So show up.
We find the cute coffee shops. And the thing with the weekly connections, too, I want to just say this as well, is from that standpoint, like, we're bringing business to these cafes, so we really want to be intentional about working and partnering with coffee shops, restaurants, to a degree, like co-working spaces, because we're bringing business, but we also want to highlight those spaces that are great places to dine and work from, that have strong Wi-Fi. So if you are an establishment that has strong Wi-Fi, you have good lighting, because we love good lighting when we have to work. We need the vitamin D.
Let me introduce y'all to Venture X, all right?
I know, I must say, like, as we were walking down these halls.
Yeah.
That's cute. It's a real cute spot.
You're like, hold on.
And follow us at Girls with 2 S's,
Yes.
Gone Wi-Fi on Instagram.
Yes.
Especially.
And know that you're in the right network.
Yes.
Know that.
We usually end with like a token question, which is like, advice to your younger selves. Any shape or form you guys want to answer that in. If maybe there's a piece of advice or something you want to tell your younger self, how would you approach that?
What kind of advice would you give the younger Jada and Fawn?
I think I was on another podcast and I said the same thing clicked, and I'll say the same thing again. Stop waiting till you feel ready. Accept and embrace change, and then just know that, for me, God doesn't waste anything. He doesn't waste a moment. He doesn't waste an opportunity, and even if it doesn't feel good, just know that it was all for the greater plan. So that's why I have to tell myself, with every setback or with every inconvenience, minor, major, it's all for the greater plan. So I would tell my younger self to just be confident in knowing. I wish I trusted him a lot sooner rather than finding now. But hey, I love it because you're in the moment where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to go through whatever it is.
And I love that. And I really, really love that. And I hope that people listening, but just people just in that mental toughness understand, like, you're where you're supposed to be, and you just have to embrace it and love it and be happy for the setbacks.
Yeah.
I just laugh at the book of James. Like, be grateful for the endurance that produces character. Like,
but why?
I'm struggling here.
Be happy.
Right.
Sure.
Okay.
But it's
if
true,
you say that,
and it works. And if
is
you're in
true.
prayer, you'll find the joy somehow.
You will. You will. Honestly, whenever anyone asks like that question, I really get emotional. Like, what would you say?
Don't make us
younger
cry.
self? Sorry. There's like a video. Because my dad, like, he was the quintessential dad with a camcorder. Okay, so everything.
me too.
He like always just recorded every single moment, which you don't realize then, but like how special that is, like, as an adult. So I'm always like, I know people are like, put the phone down, but like, shoot, capture the memory. It doesn't even have to go on social. But what I would tell my younger self, there's several videos actually of me taking my dad's camera when like everyone's kind of just doing their own thing, not paying attention to me. And I set it up and I'm pretending to be like this TV host and I'm interviewing and I'm reviewing products. Like, there's like one in particular where I'm pretending to be Oprah because I loved watching her. And then there's one of me, I have this CD and I'm like giving a full-on review of it as if I'm this little like product tester. And then, life goes on, and I just remember being so confused of like, what am I going to do? Like, what? Like, knowing what I wanted to do, but not sure how that was going to happen. And so I really wish I could just go back and be like, you're going to keep doing that. Like, because your younger self really does know. Mm-hmm. And so I encourage people to, if you feel like, sorry, I didn't mean to get emotional.
It's okay.
I just encourage people that, because it's a very real feeling to feel lost. Like, people like unalive themselves when they don't know what to do. Right. And more often than not, when you're a kid, you know what you want to do because you don't have any limiting beliefs. You're just being and existing. And you don't always have parents that support it. But sometimes you have teachers. Sometimes you have and I just feel like if we could just go back to our younger selves, it's so important. I'm trying to talk without being all choked up. Because it is. It's very important. Just tell. And I believe that, I know I'm all trying to be cute. I'm trying to be all.
I'm pulling it together.
I'm trying to be cute.
You're doing a great job.
Because I know Venture X is going to clip this. No, I'm kidding. No, but I'm just, anyway, saying, I wish I could just be like, you knew, girl. Without any degree, without any nothing, you knew. And my parents knew. So,
That's so beautiful.
And I, the future is I'm still a little young, little spring chicken.
Butterfly.
But I do. I just wish I could just be like, girl, you just,
knew.
yeah. So, and I don't want to focus it just on me. I just want to let people listening. Yeah. It's less about what I would say, but I just, hopefully, you just find some silence, go for a walk, and just look at some pictures. Find something in that archive of your childhood. And what was it that you were doing? You usually will find your purpose and your gift. It's hidden and wrapped in your childhood. Mm-hmm. So,
well, I was singing, but I think that requires talent.
No one signed you yet.
Karaoke.
That confidence.
That's all
the confidence that you have singing without the chords. That confidence. That's what you needed. Okay, I still see that confidence, so I love it. It was back to your childhood.
It's funny.
That wasn't it. Go back.
Try something else. Get another picture.
I can relate to that. That's awesome. When I was younger, I just I was always really persuasive.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I always could convince people to give me what I want.
Yeah.
In sales, I'm in sales, So.
Wow.
But it's funny that you say that because when you are a child, you do. You kind of know.
Yeah, without knowing. You're just being.
No, it's crazy because I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, you're not thinking about,
it is.
Oh, I couldn't.
And then you start thinking about yourself.
I can see how you
get emotions.
Yes.
It's like, this young, innocent child.
Yes. It's like protect the children.
There is so much, inner child work and that connection that we have with our inner child where there are answers. I do definitely believe in that. So that is great. Great advice.
Love it.
Very great.
This was so good. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, I love you guys. Thanks for.
Well, we do. We appreciate you guys, Fawn and Jada. Thank you guys so much for sharing this space with us and coming on. And Girls Gone Wi-Fi again Thursdays. So we're all going to be there. Follow them on Instagram.
Yes.
Their separate handles and on the Girls Gone Wi-Fi page to get all of the upcoming events and the news that's happening. Watch them grow. Watch it turn into something big. I think there's going to be has it already been featured on the show?
We did do a feature on the show. We had SA Live actually come to one of our locations that we did one of our meetups at, which was NOLA. NOLA's super supporter of Girls Gone Wi-Fi, and they actually have a designated space that is so great for remote working. You don't have to go just when Girls Gone Wi-Fi is there. You can utilize their space, especially during the week. So.
Love it. So again, good stuff, guys. Good stuff.
Thank you.
And all the listeners, wherever you guys are on your journey, remember some of the things, the nuggets you're taking away from this listen. Keep showing up. That's kind of been my biggest takeaway. Don't be afraid to be a beginner, to begin again, whatever it is. Yeah. Right, and we're always leveling up.
That's right.
Always. I love that.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.